Sup, Sar? How's it going? I'm just doing some housekeeping. Can't hear me that well. That's probably why. Hold on a second. Check in, do the likes. Everyone check the likes and like it. Do 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 do. I need to do that. You would think I would have a more streamlined way of doing this thing by now, but it's okay. People don't even come in on time anyway, so spend a little time just getting things in order. Whatever. 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 I'm wondering if... Wait, where's the thing? There we go. There we go. That's what I have to do all the time. There we go. I'm just trying to, like, you know, improve the visibility of my shit. Propaganda. Ugh, God. I think the one thing I'm terrible at is self-promotion, because obviously. Because obviously. Because obviously. Because obviously. How's it going, Richard Cali 10? How's life? How's life going? No one's here right now, so I'm gonna get something to drink. Alexa, turn off lights.
I couldn't reach the bedroom.
Alexa, turn off Doug.
Open the Alexa app and re-enable
Alexa, turn off Doug. Hold on, I'll be right back. Another BS Blizzard. Oh yeah, my mom kind of told me about that. Are you in New York, attritionalist? Are you in New York? Should I should I even put my headphones on? The LARP is. I guess sometimes I do watch things. Man, I just showed how crazy my room is, but whatever. I guess sometimes I do listen to things on the thing, but when that happens, I guess I could turn it up. But you know what? I'm just gonna keep this right here. You know what I mean? So I don't have to like wear it, pretend like I'm fucking doing it. All 39 years of my existence in the city or just in the area. And what part of the city, if you don't mind? You don't have to tell us like exactly where, but starring in cheat whipping. What is cheat whipping? What is cheat whipping? What is that? What is that? There's so many retards. There's so many retards online. It's just so annoying. So fucking annoying. There's so many retards. So many stupid retards. Ugh. God. Not you guys. I'm just like you guys. I don't know if you guys are on his Twitter as much as I am. Probably not. I don't think anyone's on Twitter as much as I am, to be honest. But Man, it is just so fucking annoying. I meant to say whipper. Whipper. Jeet whipper. Whipper. Starring in Jeet Whipper. I'm actually writing a kind of I'm writing a Substack right now. Today I was writing it for the past couple hours. I realized writing is not as simple as I think it was or thought it was, or maybe I'm just like getting old and slow in my old age. Like I feel like I have these big ideas and I'm like, yeah, this is I'm gonna talk about Jeetism and whatever, and it's all gonna flow out of my fingertips really quickly. But then because I'm because I'm like a fucking perfectionist, I have to like read through like every sentence, every paragraph has to like flow well, and I'm just kind of like OCD about everything and like, well, trying to like make all this like cuz I guess like online when I'm in the fucking midst of all these retards and I'm like, this is why this is, and then like they're like, well, blah 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 blah, and then well, there's not enough fucking characters in the fucking. Well, there is now. I have blue check, I guess, so I can write whatever the fuck I want. But nobody reads. Nobody reads that many stuff. But then if you formalize it into an actual blog post, I can like fucking say it at all. Like if I'm just saying it to you guys, for example, on the stream, I say a lot of these ideas that I have on the stream. And in the moment, I don't, I'm flowing or whatever, and I don't necessarily need to bring all these fucking references to prove my point. It's just kind of like, but when you write it down in a Substack, then it becomes this formal thing, and you're like, well, I mean, I need to, just in case some retard is like, well, what about this aspect and blah blah blah, and in the moment when I'm talking, when I'm conversing, even when if one of you guys said, what about this aspect, then I could correct myself in the moment and be like, well, that's because of this and this. But if I'm writing it down, I have to feel like I need to make it complete and whatever. So I guess like what I'm saying is, in a backward way, when I'm thinking about it in my mind, it's all like, yeah, all the info is there and accessible, And because it's all accessible to me, I assume that writing about it is going to be easy. I'm going to flow, whatever. And sometimes it is. Sometimes, like it was, I don't know if you guys read the article I wrote about the WMF mind virus 5 years ago. Or 4.5 years ago. But when I did write that, I was like a man possessed, Not that it all flowed out of me. I had to like research and, check my facts here and there and let them get references, blah, 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 and check some of the history of what I was talking about. Of course, it didn't like all come out of my brain instantaneously, but I had that fucking fire in me where now it's like I do still have it all in my brain and whatever, and I could do that same thing, but I don't have that same fire to be like, all right, well, I'm going to fucking put everything in there. It's like, well, they think about this. Well, would that go well with that one? I guess I'm just saying I'm too much of a perfectionist sometimes. I don't know. His punch is why does my fucking thing stop that? Whose punch is absolutely ridiculous? Checking in my fellow retarded SARs. Sup, holy cow? SAR from my car. Nice. Oh, you're listening from your car? With doing extraneous amount of Wing Chun. Somebody made it. Did you guys see that GIF that he made? It actually looks cooler because I think the camera, it's not, even if it's 30 frames per second or whatever, it's still kind of lagging. So it looks faster than it actually is. But I guess the other thing is, yeah, I guess this whole month Maybe I'm getting fucking emo, cuz, you know, and being black pilled just like everyone else in the world about the Epstein files. The Epstein files happened and nothing really fucking really happened, right? In 3 weeks, what happened with the Epstein files? We all found out that our ruling class is a bunch of baby eating, not just pedophiles, but baby eaters, satanic worshiping, baby eaters, and then like nothing happened. It was just like, oh, well, guess that's that. Now we got to nuke Iran. Now we got to go to war with another country, and probably, things will get worse here, of course. But who cares? We need to bomb another country since we don't want videos of our baby eating escapades being leaked to the public. Maybe I'm a little black pill depressed about that. Some part of me is like, what's the point? It's all going to shit. Why am I even still here? I should be in China. I have all these contradictory moments, Sometimes I'm like, no, I gotta fight the good fight. I'm gonna be bored. And then I'm like, why? Why do that? And then there's this other part of me that's like, you know what? Whatever. Anyway, sorry for being so emo. Maybe it's also, you know what it is? It's also like, I don't know. Maybe it's just kind of like, it's like when is the Asian community gonna wake up to like what the fuck is going on? Like, it just feels like it's been 6 years of this shit, right? And I feel like I'm talking to, well, obviously 15 of you guys or whatever. That's the max. But it's like, why isn't that at least like 15,000 by now? And it doesn't even have to be me, right? That's the whole thing, right? I said that from my first stream. If somebody else were doing things, saying things, the things I was saying, and they were getting all this fucking, views and whatever, then I'd be like, all right, I guess someone's already doing it. I can kind of just relax. I can more make long form content that I want to make, which I am doing now, but I do feel like I still have to stream and like write more short form content to like, that's more topical and that's more relevant to the times, and being like, see, that's the thing. I don't really like, if it were up to me, I would really not want to do the topical type stuff, like reporting on the news or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Of course, it's easy. It's fun, right? It's, it's kind of like this dopamine hit, right? Especially when you're on Twitter, you're immediately reacting to things and being like, putting your 2 cents on it and blah, blah, blah. And it's more, it's more exciting and engaging to talk about what's going on right now, here and now. But in reality, I would like to take a step back from that, because I feel like if you're getting too much into the thick of the weeds of that stuff over and over again every day, like, I feel like you sort of lose the bigger picture. And I'm more of a bigger picture type person in general. It just feels like I have to be on Twitter and doing that stuff to stay relevant, because if you don't, then people don't remember who you are and blah, 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 whatever. Maybe that's something I'm making up in my head or whatever. I don't know. But it's just kind of like this weird situation where it's like, I don't even fucking know what I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is I'm losing I'm losing steam. I'm losing motivation. I'm losing whatever. Like, on the one hand, it's like, I've been reading Hegelian philosophy, right? And, part of his idea is that man looks for his meaning by confirming the validity of his self or his identity or his self-consciousness, self-sustaining itself. That's why when a self-consciousness approaches another self-consciousness, the immediate thing is to try to kill that other thing or negate it to assert your own independence. Be like, see, I don't depend on that thing, or I'm my own self-sustaining kind of consciousness. And so if you think about it in just like the meaning of anyone's individual, or what drives a person, what's a person's will, it's always seeking the assuredness, right? The assuredness of their identity, or how it relates to a society. And there's no person who can be purely objective and see everything from kind of a dispassionate, objective lens, because you're going to be invested in some way, right? Or if you're not invested, like there has to be that spark. Even Lenin talks about this spark that has to accompany the the materialism of Marxism. Otherwise, like it ends up being this kind of like dead, mechanical, robotic ideology that its opponents accuse it of, right? It's like this. It could be equality for all, but it ends up being this robotic thing, that pretty much kind of defined the Soviet Union in its final kind of decades of being this very overly bureaucratic, dead sort of dogmatic sort of system that didn't really speak to the internal conditions of the Soviet society at the time. Anyway, I'm just trying to find that motivation again. Maybe it's also a mixture of me like anticipating now moving back to New York. Me like, you know what? Maybe I should just take a break for a while, for 6 months. Just like chill out and not really do much, whatever. I say that jokingly because I know that my own neuroticism would never allow me to ever do anything, especially for 6 months. But I am kind of like thinking maybe it is just kind of like, maybe I should plan the next 6 months, right? Give it a very defining shape, especially plan it with moments that could be, kind of like a reset and a refresh, but also be aligned with what I want to do. Because like, I'm thinking about actually within the next 6 months, actually, I'm trying to think about actually visiting China, more specifically Hong Kong, Shenzhen, that area. I want to actually pick up some British suits. I heard you can get them for a lot cheaper in Hong Kong. So I want to pick up some of those before I go to New York. I want to, come into New York, kind of like getting back into my New Yorkness. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I kind of dress like a schlop in LA these days, especially since I stopped, like being in the industry, or like being concerned about the industry and being concerned about how I looked and how I dressed and all that. That all ended in 2019 for me, so 7 years ago. So even that kind of LA style kind of died out. I just wear t-shirts and sweatpants now all day. So I kind of like want to switch that, but also, visit China for the first time. And since Hong Kong is also close to Shenzhen, I could swing over there, maybe go to Macau, maybe go to Guangzhou. I don't know, something like that. Think about it. Do you ever answer DMs on X? Yeah, I have my DMs open. Did you ever DM me and I didn't answer? Sorry if that happened. I can check my DMs to see who you are. Sometimes I don't look at my requests because they're all full of porn bots. Hey, how is everything? Yep, that's a porn bot. That's another porn bot. Hi, I'm a bit shy, but I want to ask you something. Do you mind? Yes, I do mind. Send me the emoji that best describes what you do if we were alone right now. Hi. Hi, my name is Sophie, lol. Can I ask you something fast? Hey there, we're launching a project on Solana and looking for innovative thinkers ready to come to it. Well, I guess that one's not a porn bot, that's a crypto bot. Yo, Kim, you popped up again, huh? Can I... Anyway, yeah, I don't think you're one of these, are you? If you're one of these porn bots, then yeah, I probably didn't. I did not answer your DM because I'm not sure what those are. But in general, I mean, if you're, if you're political and stuff, I probably do answer DMs, but that's on Twitter. Oh, so did you message me already? I don't know. I don't really see any non-porn bot things here. There's these business things. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, let me know what your handle is so I know not to ban you from DMing me. Let's see. Well, even if the Asian American becomes more aware, what can they really do? The condition here is not as bad compared to China in colonial civil war times. I mean, that's true. I guess, like, what can they do, right? Maybe it's just sour grapes, just seeing how retarded Asian Americans still have these platforms as if nothing's fucking going on in the world. They never talk about the Gaza shit, blah blah blah. It's funny though, actually. I feel like, obviously during the Boba Liberal era, there were these Asian American women, WMF women, right, like Boba Liberals, who were, in media or like in mainstream media, or at least like, like the secondary ancillary mainstream media like outlets, and they had all these political opinions, blah blah blah. But now you don't really see many of those, except for on the right wing, right? You have fucking, that Singaporean, what's her name? Mel Chan, the WMF Mel Chan, and then now you have fucking Kim Iverson, talking shit on politics, whatever. But you don't really see leftist or left wing mainstream Asian women anymore. And so there is no real, maybe it's just like the fact that there is no real like central Asian figure for Asians. Obviously there are some big Asian voices or whatever politically from the diaspora online, but I feel like most of them are captured by non-Asian sort of interests, if you know what I mean. Like even the fucking no dot doll whatever, that's fucking bullshit, like leftism, that kind of trails like Western leftist organizations, like PSL or whatever have you. There isn't just this thing where I'm like, yes, this guy, it doesn't even have to be me, but if there was this guy where I was like, okay, this guy gets it, he's got a lot of followers, and he's doing the right thing. He's on the right track and right path. You know, actually, there does exist one guy who's kind of like that, but he doesn't live in America and he's kind of older than me. So he kind of like speaks to more of like a. Again, it's not like he speaks to like a mostly Asian audience. But he does capture a good amount of people. I don't know. Maybe it's an impossible feat, right? Because there are so many different fucking Asian countries. You know, maybe it's by default because like there's so many divisions created by there being so many Asian countries. You know, it's not just determined by Western imperialism, but our own kind of historical tribalism that's been going on for centuries, especially with respect to our relationship with China and all that stuff. So maybe what I'm asking is too abstract, too, you know, too idealistic to exist in the concrete. But I don't know. That's why I'm still here, I guess, even though I'm just kind of like, whatever, you know. Tracksuits, dude. What about tracksuits, dude? Are you saying that I should get tracksuits in New York City or LA? I think tracksuits would be more an LA thing. I'm an unk though. I feel like trying to pull off tracksuits as an unk is kind of like, now you're kind of like super unking yourself. I feel like, why isn't this not tightening? Oh, there we go. All right. Hello, 안녕하십니까? Chevy 85E8N Korean. What is Korean? Korean. Oh, are you asking if I'm Korean? Yes, I am Korean. I am Korean American, despite my Vietnamese flag. But I'm assuming you found me through KTSC. Doug, did you see that screenshot I posted in chat of Kim saying Chinese New Year on February 1st? Oh, yeah. Wait. Oh, is that why you posted that thing? Let's see. Oh, did somebody like fucking post that like as like a gotcha against her yet? No, the guy you were talking about earlier, the guy with the same views as you. Oh, no, he's Vietnamese. His name is Sony Tang. He's on Twitter as NXT888. He posts like, I don't know, you know, it's not really my style, but I get it. He gets a lot of engagement. I think he's a Vietnamese guy who grew up in Europe, I believe. I'm not sure. I think he lives in Vietnam now, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But he's, you know, he's very well educated about imperialism, obviously. You know, I consider him very well read and well spoken, obviously. And we're mutuals on Twitter. That's great. I support everything he does. You know, we kind of had a little bit of an exchange yesterday. It wasn't too contentious, but you know, I was kind of like, that's actually what I'm going to be talking about, the different strokes of AES Asia today. As soon as I'm done fucking rambling about my emo self. What do you think about Sean Fu? Who's Sean Fu? Sean Fu. Singaporean entrepreneur. Filmmaker, advocate known for his contributions to the LGBT community through his work with Dear Straight People. I mean, already from that, probably realized he was gay during his teenage years, social prejudice against homosexuality. Melbourne. Wait, he grew up in Melbourne? Compelled them to remain in the closet throughout his adolescence. Blah blah blah. I mean, what? I don't know. He's just kind of a dude, apparently. What? Wait, not that guy. Who's Sean Fu then? Not gay. Oh, is he Sean Fu Gold? Economic collapse, Sean Fu? Gold, silver, crisis investing. Is that the guy you're talking about? Crisis investor? I mean, I don't know much about him except for what I'm seeing right now. Discussing precious metal to macroeconomics to help you make sense of the chaotic investment world. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see. Some dude posted in a reply. Did she reply to that, Wang Nichen? Or did she try to just ignore it? You know, she was like, she said that, oh, somebody said I'm a goy slop, whatever. I was like, yeah, that was me. Yeah. I got that rise out of you, dumb bitch. But she never responded to any of my fucking like digs at her. But I know she saw them because she was like, some people on the internet were saying I was a goy slop, whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, that was me, bitch. That was me, bitch. Lol, yeah, KTSC. It did indeed suck after you left. I mean, we just don't really talk about KTSC anymore. I feel like I'm going to be saying that like 3, 4, 5 years from now still. We don't talk about that. I'll be impressed if you guys are still around actually in 3 or 4. I'll be impressed if fucking the United States of America is around 3 to 4 years from now. You're probably the only Asian American celebrity I can relate to. Plus, we're both Korean. Oh, thanks. I mean, I wouldn't really call myself a celebrity. I'm like a nano celebrity. Nobody knows who the fuck I am. That's the whole point. I'm just kind of like, because of my nano celebrityness, I'm just like, is there even a fucking point? Like, if there was like a Sean Fu, he has 256K subscribers. If there was a Sean Fu who just started talking about Marxism, Leninism, and how the Asian American community needs to wake the fuck up, and he was getting a lot of views for saying that shit, I'd be like, all right, have fun, guys, have fun, Sean Fu. Sean Fu, you got it. You got my. I'd probably change his stream into just like an entertainment stream. Maybe I'd be just much more entertaining after that. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm fucking saying. I'm just saying all this fucking bullshit. Yeah, I think I'm seeing what this Sean Fu guy is, but I don't really know who he is outside of what I've seen in the last 5 minutes. No, she didn't. It might have actually been edited, though. Oh. So it was a fake screenshot. It was a doctored screenshot. She got the call. I mean, she probably did get the call. Don't be modest. Lol. KTSC is a relic. Most Korean YouTubers are too vanilla. That's the thing, too. Vanilla gets views. Vanilla gets, safe, K-pop-esque glazing, K-food. You're mukbanging, or you're going to the hot Korean spots. The commodification of that's easy to sell, right? That's easy to be like, oh, look at this Korean face mask I'm using. You could use it too for the low price of $29.99. Go to, here's my experiences getting Korean plastic surgery. You too could get this. Like, let me post this on my Instagram so you can get this discount. And so, yeah, I get it. It's easily commodifiable shit. Like, praising the DPRK is not easily commodifiable. Can't even go there. Can't even go to the DPRK to see this shit for yourselves. There's nothing to sell. There's no material interest in that, right? It's too abstract. Everything's just abstract. Everything's abstract until World War III happens and we're all fucking dead. Then it becomes material, but then it's too late because we're all dead. So I suppose I'm just in that contradictory space where what I say doesn't matter until it does matter, but then it still doesn't matter because we're all dead, you know? Oh, man. Everyone knows who you are, but everyone pretends not to know you. I mean, there's a little bit of that too, you know? I know for a fact that people are scared of me. Very influential Asians are very scared of me. I'm not going to name any names, but I'm aware that I'm on the board, at least. Like, I'm not like the board of directors, but like the chess board. I'm on the board. I know I'm on the board in a lot of people's minds, especially the Asian American community. They would rather not be on that board at all. They would rather me die, probably. So I suppose my positive impact, maybe, is that now we don't see those dumb bitches on fucking mainstream media spouting fucking anti-Asian male nonsense. Did you notice that? Did you notice that? How that's all fucking gone now? All this Asian men are misogynist bullshit. Like, for the past... Shit, I don't even fucking know. My entire fucking life, you know, the Asian men are more misogynist than white men, right? That idea was fucking out there, floating out there for most of my fucking life. And you know what killed that? I killed that. When I wrote that fucking WMAF, like, this is the fucking roots of that shit. The conversation immediately fucking died. You know? And that shit is hard to track because most people weren't even aware of these conversations to begin with, right? Most non-Asians, right? They don't even care about it enough to, like, know. You know, it's only, like, maybe 2023, 2022, you know, a year or two after I made my piece, that people started, you know, Gen Z started talking about the Oxford study and all this other shit. But really, they knew that I was at least on the fucking board, you know? That there were enough people in the Asian American community who are watching now because of what I said. So I guess that's the positive fucking contribution I made. Now we don't have to listen to fucking WMAF Floyds about anything politically. At least left-wing, liberal Floyds. Now we got, you know, all this fucking, you know, talk about WMAF and Hoppas and all this shit again. And especially with now right-wingers or, you know, fucking retarded. You have your retarded Melissa Chens and Mel Chens or whatever. And now I'm like, all right. You know, and then you have these fucking retarded Gen Z people being like, Oxford study, bro. And like, or these fucking tech women talking about, you know, fucking WMAS shit or whatever. And you're just like, all right. It's time for me to put on the cape and cowl. It's time to set the record straight yet fucking again. Because maybe that's the contribution I make. I make the contribution of getting dumbass Asians to shut the fuck up. By basically being like, you are fucking retard. That's my contribution, guys. There's no actual unification of Asian thought. It's more I'm the negation. I'm the skepticism, the skeptical consciousness that negates everything of Asian America as being false and contradictory. Oh man, sorry, I'm making a Hegel joke. Went over my own head. Let's see. basically he promotes the shit out of Gold. Yeah, I can see that. He's like, Goldfinger. He's the man with the Midas touch. Did I mention you guys like how Bond just starts out with like just blatant anti-Asian racism against like Koreans and Chinese people in the first two movies. Like Dr. No is like a hot Asian who's trying to like hold the world ransom with nukes. And then Odd Job is like Goldfinger's henchman with a bunch of other like North Korean henchmen or whatever. Well, I'm a DPRK motor fuel soju drinking kind of guy. What's DPRK motor fuel? Not the fruit flavored shit. That's Asian YouTube in a nutshell. Yep. I mean, it's been like that, right? It's always been like that. I mean, I live in LA. Of course, I know all about that shit. I don't know all about the fucking boba liberals. This is all I have. I'm writing this until the end. What are you writing exactly? Oh, my show. All right. Well, I guess I gotta keep it going, especially for David Tay, my friend David Tay, who's not here right now, but says this is the thing that brightens up his week. You know, that makes him feel less black pilled and doomsday about the world because now there's other people to black pill with. You know, misery loves company, as they say, right? That's the draw. That's the draw of this show. If you're miserable and you think the world is ending, well, you're right, but at least you can enjoy. And you know what? That was essentially what my first podcast was, right? I don't know if any of you even like remember or from that era. Actually, there were two podcasts I did in the past 5 years. One came out like late 2020, early 2021 when I was in New York, and it was during the pandemic, and I called it the anti-Asian socialist club, like being anti-Asian, as in against anti-Asian hate crimes, but socialist club, you know, instead of anti-social social club, there were two antis. Instead of two socials, there were two antis. So it's the anti-Asian socialist club, and instead of social, it was socialist. It's pretty clever, if I do say so myself. But that was kind of more out of, yeah, I wanted to talk with my friend about what the fuck I was seeing, and, you know, and she was willing to hear me out and hear my ideas. And, that went on for like 6 months. And then I got depressed. That was why I stopped that time, because I was like, yeah, that was that was exactly the reason why I stopped that, because I was so depressed. I was like so black pilled that, oh god, the fucking wokeonomics, the HR fascist folks are gonna enforce their HR fascism, and it's over, and we're all just gonna be genocided under the guise of wokeonomics, and there's no point to this anymore. And I should just go back into PMC land, right? I was really depressed. And then the second time was with a friend a couple of years ago. She wanted to just learn more about politics and whatever, and then we ended because I had to actually go back to New York, and I think she kind of lost interest. I had to go back to New York to, you know, my dad was really ill, and I was visiting in the hospital like every other day with my mom, alternating. So that was that. This one is more kind of like out of like, you know, I tried it with KTSC. I tried doing shit with other people, you know, with those other two podcast people. But I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to place a sounding board where I could just say whatever the fuck I want. And I don't really care what happens. And it was just like a personal outlet, right? Like I say all the time, it's just for posterity, for 500 million years in the future, for aliens to know that I was the one who was correct about everything all along. Right? It's not really for, because maybe, like, I guess I am my own worst enemy in that regard of getting followers or getting a following, because, like, this was never about getting a following in the first place. But I guess, like, once you get enough of your whatever out, it's been, what, since June? Or, yeah, so it's 7 months. It's just kind of like, well, I guess I've said a lot, right? It's out there now. If people want to hear what I have to say, they can hear it if they want. There's a lot of material out there that kind of explicates how I see everything. But then what's the next step past that, right? And that's why I've been trying to, in the beginning of the new year, trying to be like, all right, I need to write. I need to create more videos, not just these streams, my fucking Breaking Bad thing. That's why I started with the Breaking Bad fucking documentary, trying to get more stuff that's relevant to what's going on, more topical stuff, more stuff that, the Breaking Bad thing was because, like, oh, this is a culturally, like, relevant thing that most people still talk about still, there are all these fucking Breaking Bad channels and whatever that they get, like, lots of views, like Better Call Saul, and like get lots of views on their videos. Trying to ride that wave, or just talking about more relevant things like the Jeetism stuff that I'm going to be talking about on my Substack. And so part of me is just kind of like, I haven't really given it enough time and really given enough effort to make the conclusion that's not worth it. It's part of me is just being a little bitch, if I'm being honest, and I need to stop being a little bitch. Part of it's probably also kind of like, a little bit of withdrawal, or not really withdrawal anymore. And I'm not really having withdrawal symptoms. It's just kind of like, man, if I could just, like, smoke up, forget about shit for a day. It's just kind of like, well, I can't do that. Then I'll fucking relapse and whatever. And it's just like this constant, well, what's what's waiting for me? I guess it's just kind of like hard when the thing you're trying to sublate and negate is not concretized in front of you, Again, I'm probably not even making sense. Does my DM pop up now? My handle should be there. All right, let me check, buddy. Let me check for your DMs. All right, yo, yeah, what's up? Freedom Monarch. No more voice slop. Yeah, I said sup. I think that's their first message to me. Did you message me before? Because I didn't see anything before that. Excuse me. Oh, are you Iranian? Liberal food checking in, SAR. Liberal Foyd? Wait, you're a Foyd? El Funko 90? Wait, you're a woman? How many women are in here? My Hangnimder? Wait, God, my eyes. Is that Hangnimder? I think do you mean Hangnimder? Back in the day, would say North Korean soju would probably kill you due to crude distillery. I'm sure actual DPRK soju would be pretty smooth, like Russian vodka. Yeah, I mean, maybe in the 1990s. Might have been a little rough back then, I'm sure. But, Kim Jong-un's kind of shown that the kind of effects of their policies. Yes, typo. Got it. And here I am drinking frog soju. I see. Foid means feminist oid. It's like a derogatory term for feminist. So I guess like technically there could be male foids, but not really anymore. I feel like people have advanced now beyond the male feminist meta that people are like, oh, the male feminists are only feminists to try to pick up women who think they're like allies or some shit. And now it's very apparent that male feminists are probably more rapey in general, or fake bullshit. The frog brand will make you see the future. Maybe now that I'm off weed, I should get into alcohol. I should become an alcoholic. It's probably actually worse because you can get like cancer, right? Liver cancer, cirrhosis from drinking too much alcohol. I don't know. But your brain would be, no, I guess like alcohol would be a lot worse since like hangovers really suck now, especially in your 40s, right? Wouldn't that feel like you feel more depressed? All right, so alcohol is not going to be on the menu. Damn it. We just got a raw dog reality, guys. Just got a raw dog reality. That's what it is. It's just kind of like it's I'm in this like LA purgatory. You know what I mean? Like I live in somewhat like if in LA as a single person in your 40s, it's kind of purgatory, right? Because most of, especially Asian American contemporaries, they're usually married by now. Especially if they're out of towners, right? Like me. If you're an outer towner like me, like if you're from California and you're from the area, and you grew up here, then you already have like your crew, right? The people you grew up with, or the college people that you know. You already have like all these networks of people, the church people you went to, blah, blah, blah. Like I went to church here for a while, for a little minute, but I don't really talk to any of them anymore. And then the people I met through the industry, I also don't talk to really any of them anymore. Like only like a very small few people. So like all my networks, and especially the KTSC shit, I ain't talking to nobody fucking ever from that. No, just kidding. I talk to Ed very occasionally, but like again, not really like on a regular basis. And so like all my networks here are pretty much over. And that's like a large reason why I'm going back to New York in the first place. But then it just like feels like, okay, now that I've made that decision to move, I feel like I'm in this kind of limbo area here. I'm just kind of like just waiting now to go back. And maybe I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should have just moved back, in May instead of April, or May instead of September. So I just be there already, right? But then it's just kind of like hard to nail down a routine in this next, half year or so. Dialysis. Yeah, my dad, not that he drank. My dad didn't really drink, but he had kidney failure recently, and dialysis apparently is not a fun experience. You have to be there for like 4 hours, 3 times a week, getting your blood transfused, and then when you come back, you're really tired and shit. So you're like basically, a good 42% of your life is now like disabled, which doesn't seem like a very fun time. Yep. Get into coffee. Oh, well, I'm drinking coffee shake from Shake Shack, and I did drink coffee. I did have a pretty decent day today. I drank some coffee from Blue Bottle. I'm a bougie bitch. Went to the Century City Mall. That's what I do sometimes. I go to the Century City Mall, go to Blue Bottle Coffee, get a Ice New Orleans, 16 ounce. I like to get as much caffeine as possible. Walk around the thing and then get back to my car before the hour is up because you get a free parking for an hour. But then after that hour, it's $5, which is fucking ridiculous, in my opinion. Sometimes if I want to stay longer, I go to my car and then drive back in. That's how Asian I am, guys. That's how Asian I am. Like, I ain't paying this $5. Gotta go back to my fucking car and get that deal. Get my second free hour. You know what I mean? All right. Let me get into the topic, okay? That would have been. All right. So, there's been a little bit of the kind of controversy. I haven't checked it out myself. I haven't looked into it that deeply myself. Maybe I should have in preparation, but there's this thing called the Board of Peace, I guess. I don't even fucking know if it's an actual thing or if it's just some sort of fucking retarded cover that, America and Israel are doing to be like, yeah, we're gonna make peaceful relations with Gaza now. We're not gonna bomb them anymore. We're gonna try to make blah blah blah. I feel like it's some bullshit nonsense where they're just stalling for time. But in the meantime, a lot of these countries, even these Muslim countries, have joined this Board of Peace to be like, yeah, we're gonna make sure everything's above board and blah blah blah. But then it's coming out to be on the Board of Peace. You gotta, I think Malaysia had to pay $1 billion or something like that, or some sort of requirement for all these. Indonesia had to send soldiers for peacekeeping reasons, right? And curiously, it wasn't like that surprising that Indonesia or any of these Muslim countries, that Saudi Arabia, all these places were on the Board of Peace, right? Because presumably if they're in the Middle East, they have a vested interest in keeping the peace, right? And Indonesia is a very highly Muslim country, so they're like, let's blah blah blah, right? All this fucking bullshit. But then, curiously enough, Vietnam was on the Board of Peace, right? So let me see. Why is Vietnam on Board of Peace? Aren't they communists? I'm going to ask Grok. The Board of Peace, often called the Gaza Board of Peace, refers to a new international mechanism initiated by U.S. Donald Trump in early 2026. It was formally established during a UN Security Council resolution, adopted November 17th, 2025, endorsing a U.S.-led Gaza ceasefire and peace plan, right? Blah, 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 humanitarian aid, post-conflict reconstruction, stabilization efforts in Gaza, and broader political process for lasting peace in the region, right? So, like I said before, is this a smokescreen for some bullshit, from some stalling? I don't know, whatever. But assuming it's not, right? Or assuming it's not. Vietnam joined as a founding member after accepting Trump's invitation in 2026. General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam, To Lam, attended the inaugural meeting in Washington, D.C. on February 19th. That was 3 days ago, alongside leaders from dozens of other countries. Yes, Vietnam is governed by the Communist Party of Vietnam, remains a one-party socialist state. Its participatory isn't contradictory for a few key reasons. Foreign policy pragmatism. Vietnam pursues an independent, self-reliant bamboo diplomacy, flexible yet rooted, diversifying relations with all major powers, including US, China, Russia, and others, to advance national interests like economic growth, security, and global influence. Joining reflects deepened US-Vietnam ties and Vietnam's active multilateral engagement. Historical experiences with peace and reconstruction. Vietnam emphasizes its own history of war, suffering, and post-conflict recovery, giving it a stated interest in supporting peace efforts, civilian protection, humanitarian access, and rebuilding. Not a UN body. This isn't the UN Security Council. It's a US-led initiative endorsed by UNSC, resolution. Vietnam framed its involvement as contributing global peace, implementing UN resolutions, and protecting all parties' interests, especially Palestinians. Okay, so doesn't Vietnam get privileges from the United States from joining? No. Vietnam's decision also brings tangible diplomatic and strategic advantages in its relation with the United States, even if there are no direct privileges like formal exemptions, financial aid packages, or special economic deals. Key benefits include elevated high-level access to the U.S. leadership, bilateral ties, strengthens comprehensive strategic partnership, provides platforms for advancing other priorities, boost Vietnam's international profile and credibility. State media and officials frame it as enhancing Hanoi's image as responsible middle power contributing to global peace, drawing on its post-war reconstruction experience. U.S. sources welcomed it as evidence of Vietnam's rising standing, which indirectly supports better ties with Washington. Opportunities for deeper bilateral cooperation. In meetings tied to the board visit, discussions cover trade, security, and multilateral coordination. Vietnam used the occasion to reaffirm commitment to partnership and invite Trump for a visit, which he accepted warmly. Wow, Trump in Vietnam. Interesting. This helps sustain momentum in U.S.-Vietnam relations, including economic security areas like supply chain diversification away from China. Soft power and strategic positioning. Willingness to engage pragmatically with U.S.-led initiatives, even on non-core issues, which can yield goodwill. Analysts note that for aspiring middle powers, such board offer White House access and a chance to demonstrate reliability without heavy commitments. There are no reports of explicit quid pro quo privileges. Membership doesn't require a $1 billion fee. That's for later review and renewal after initial 3-year terms. Okay, so the privileges are indirect, but they are stronger ties with the U.S., enhanced global visibility, reinforcement of strategic partnership amidst shared interest in regional stability and economic growth. Vietnam pursues this pragmatically to maximize benefits from all major partners. So it's interesting. I guess. I guess I'm kind of torn about this because, it does seem a little fishy. It does seem like, wait, what are we saying that it actually believes the United States is doing this board of peace thing to actually, be for Gaza and Palestine and all this other stuff, especially now, especially right? In the case of Indonesia, right? It was definitely framed as like, oh, we need to circumvent these tariffs and all this other stuff. But, in the case of Vietnam, it's like, well, this is a little confusing, right? Because, like, if you're a socialist country, you should be pretty aware that this is like kind of a play, right? This is kind of a ploy. This is not like fool me once, right? Hold on a second. How do I get this fucking... Oh, shit. Fool me once, right? Like 50 years ago, 51 years ago. Fool me once. And so I asked Sony about it, right? What did I ask Sony? What did I say to Sony? I said the Board of Peace thing does seem a little bit sus. What are your thoughts on that? He wrote, because he wrote a tweet, I think probably referring to this. He said something like, Vietnam should trade with the U.S., Vietnam should talk to the U.S., Vietnam should extract every benefit it can from the U.S. But Vietnam should never trust the U.S., not with our security, our sovereignty, our memory. Because every time the empire shakes her hand, it is already calculating how to use it. Right? And so, yeah, I think he's couching this, Board of Peace agreement. And I understand, he's Vietnam. Obviously, he has a vested interest in Vietnam, like, looking good, right? Obviously. So I asked him, it does seem a little sus. What are your thoughts on the Board of Peace decision? Wasn't some grassroots Vietnamese love letter to Washington. It was a state-level calculation. Handful of people at the top weighing tariffs, market access, and geopolitical pressure, then deciding it's safer to sit at the table than be on the menu. Vietnam has every reason to keep trade flowing and avoid being punished like China or Iran. Joining some Trump-branded board costs little on paper and might buy breathing room on exports, investment, and U.S. goodwill. That does not mean Vietnam suddenly trusts the U.S. with its security or its future, obviously, I think. It means the leadership is trying to extract benefits and reduce risk inside a system they don't control. Vietnam has always done this, talk to everyone, trade with everyone, rely on no one. Yes, feels sus because the whole thing is theater, and theater is the language Washington understands. But underneath the optics, it's not a popular movement. It's a pragmatic hedge by a small circle of decision makers trying to keep the U.S. off our neck without forgetting who napalmed us. So, I mean, I guess there's a little realpolitik going on there. And I think, I understandably, like, obviously things are very nuanced, right? Like, with China, for example, everyone's like, oh, well, China trades with Israel. China's obviously not trying to stop Israel, whatever. Obviously it's more complicated than that, right? There's a whole history behind social imperialism and China's failures with a lot of other countries, and then it's a whole process of liberalization and opening up and all this blah 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 that explain why it does trade with Israel. A lot of that was because I mentioned this probably before, that China needed to catch up, right? And especially in military technology. And for a while, for around 20 years or so, after opening up to the West, Israel was willingly selling it U.S. military technology that it then, reverse engineered and used for their own purposes, right? So there's that. There's that aspect. So I understand that there are surface level things of this Board of Peace thing from Vietnam that may not look good for Vietnam, right? Because, it had its own kind of moment 50, 60 years ago where it was on the other side of things in the American empire. But, it makes a good point that Vietnam is not a big power, right? It's not a big power, country like China, even though it has had rapid economic growth in the past 30, 40 years. It's still not at China's level because it started from even a lower position than China, after 40 years of war. And B, they don't have as much negotiation power in terms of their, economic might. And, it's true that Iran obviously has more to lose by joining this thing. And China can absorb that kind of thing by not joining this Board of Peace thing, right? And so, from a practical standpoint, it does make sense for Vietnam to kind of like secure its own interests in something that really doesn't, it's just kind of like it is just kind of like a surface level thing for America to use as like propaganda to wash over its, imperialist designs. But at the same time, it does, when I think about, my own people, the DPRK, maybe they're principled to a fault, right? Unlike China or Vietnam, they never compromised on anything, right? They never compromised on, their principles. They were the first people. They were the first people from day one. They were anti-Israel, right? They were anti-Zionist. They sniffed out that imperialism. They knew what it was all about from day fucking one. They were like, no, this is bullshit. They never wavered from that position, not once. Basically, since the creation of Israel, they were like, no, this is fucking bullshit. They were the only Middle Eastern country to have that position from day fucking one, and never not having that position. China, I think, had that position as well, but then, obviously the opening up and all that stuff, they were kind of like, wanted to play both sides. And so, like, I guess Sony's argument that China kind of did the same thing, especially it needed to do what it needed to do in order to survive, survival being the key thing, right? Like, it's the whole, like, argument of, like, if you're on the fucking airplane and it's going down, you got to put on your own oxygen mask first. Otherwise, you might both die, right? Because, like, now you didn't secure the oxygen. Now you're fucking suffocating, and the person, now you can't even put on the mask of the other guy since you're suffocating. And that was the thing with the Soviet Union as well, right? With the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, with abandoning social imperialism, the Trotskyite sort of like idea of permanent revolution, abandoning that after the failure of the invasion of Poland in the 1920 or 1921. Lenin abandoned that position. And the socialism in one country idea that Stalin basically presented, it was pretty much a Leninist principle, but Stalin kind of like concretized it. I think that's what, both China and Vietnam are invoking. But I guess, like, the devil's advocate could be like, well, the North Koreans figured it out. The North Koreans, against all odds, figured out how to never give up their principles. But maybe that's, to their detriment, right? Maybe if they had negotiated, maybe if they had played ball here and there, things might have worked out better, possibly, for them. And not sacrificed principles in a way that would sacrifice the integrity of their country, Not to say that they should have, like, opened up to Israel, but, like, maybe in other ways. Maybe their hardline policies in all other aspects were not the greatest, and they could have adjusted here and there. Who knows, right? It's all like armchair politics, aren't like back, what is it called? Like Monday night reverse 2020. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, right? Like reverse quarterback, like Monday morning quarterback. What is it called? Is that what it's called? Monday morning quarterback, North Koreans know bullshit when they see it, Northerners. I feel like all Koreans kind of know bullshit when they see it, It's just that the ones in the South are still like, the Jap collaborators are still in power there, so it's hard to be open about smelling shit out when you get killed or disappeared when you do, right? Anyway, that's my thoughts about that. It's complicated, it's nuanced, obviously. That's the biggest Ho Chi Minh stand of all time that's not Vietnamese. Probably the biggest Korean Ho Chi Minh stand of all time, Korean American. It's a little disappointing to see. There were plenty of other countries that were not socialist that didn't sign the Board of Peace, especially Southeast Asian countries, right? But, and I feel like Vietnam, after the Vietnam War, it almost gets like a lifetime pass from American imperialism. It's like, you don't really want to start shit there again, because if you do, you're going to look pretty fucking bad, right? So given that, I don't really 100% buy this. If we don't do this, we're going to be on the menu argument from Sony. I'm sorry a little bit, but I don't really buy that. I understand that, yes, obviously, Vietnam, while it has advanced a lot, still has a lot of room to grow. Still is probably a little less, it's trailing American cities still, right? As shitty as American cities are today, it's still kind of trailing them. Not by much. I've been to Ho Chi Minh City in Hanoi, but it is still trailing them. And so, Vietnam wants to catch up. It sees all this China stuff, sees all this, even North Korea is kind of like, I'll talk about that next, but even North Korea is looking like it's stepping up its game a little bit here and there. And, citizens probably see that and are like, it wants to keep its talent, right? Vietnam wants to keep its economic talent as much as it can. And if the big intellectuals in Vietnam are like, well, I can make more money if I live in America. I can make more money if I live in China. If the Vietnam intellectuals start going elsewhere, then like Vietnam itself, its economics might suffer in that case. So I understand the practicalities of all those decisions. But I guess like I'm just saying I'm ambivalent about it. I understand. I just don't like it. But, everyone's got to do, but that's the thing, right? Like, that's the thing about like Western Marxism that I don't like, right? Western Marxism is this idealistic, no, everything needs to be pure or else it's not real Marxism. Obviously in that regard, if any Western Marxist criticizes Vietnam, then I'm like, no, you're a fucking retard. Because you're bringing up the same fucking bullshit that you would say about China, or same fucking bullshit you would even say about North Korea. It's like, oh, that's not real Marxism because X, Y, and Z. I'm like, fuck you. You don't even know what you're talking about. But I guess like just from like a internal kind of thing, I'm like, yeah, I get it. So that's how I feel about that. China. Speaking of China, I think I already spoke about China. I'm kind of like thinking about China now. I'm trying to more think about China from China's perspective these days. And I think like China's main strategy is to basically try to make things work without any. It's always been like that, right? Even during the Opium Wars, whatever, they tried to negotiate, they tried to whatever. It's like let's not fucking. We don't have to fight, right? And maybe that's to their detriment a little bit too, right? But their strategy has mainly been to kind of like try to find a negotiation, try to find a way to negotiate first. Like, let's not break out the fucking guns. But then obviously a little bit of that changed, obviously, during the nationalization era of Sun Yat-sen, and then obviously Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong, who are like, we need to fucking muscle up. And they had different ideas about how to muscle up as well. Because we see these Japs, they're especially Mao, right? Like, I don't think Chiang Kai-shek cared about that. I think Chiang Kai-shek just wanted to get power for himself, like a piece of shit, at all costs, right? But then Mao was like, "No, there's no negotiating. We don't negotiate with terrorists, right?" That's a true meaning of we don't negotiate with terrorists. Because the Japanese, they're fucking terror. Like, I'm seeing all this fucking revisionist shit from like Western Marxists again about the nukes. And I'm like, there's this one guy who got like fucking 6 million likes or whatever, or 6 million engagements on this. Like, oh, the more you hear about the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, like some fucking radiation thing, the more you want to strangle every US president. It's like, well, and then you see him post about like how Dresden was more appropriate than the nukes. And I'm like, you're fucking retarded, you know? Because like the Nazi party, at their height, when they won the elections, it was a plurality. It wasn't a majority fucking win. They only got like 38% of the votes in 1932 or 1933 or whatever. And they, Hitler didn't even win president outright. He was appointed chancellor so that, like, the fucking, to appease the fucking Nazi party from not going, from chimping out and going apeshit. And then only when that, Hindenburg fucking died, he quickly maneuvered to make himself both the president and the chancellor into the Führer, right? And then, like, I've been reading this Nazi propaganda book. And really, like, Germans weren't all on board the entire time. Like, there was a lot of dissent, especially from Catholic Church, especially from, like, the actual working class. Like, the people that supported Hitler the most were obviously the middle class, like the petty bourgeois middle class. And so it wasn't this thing where every German was fucking like, go Hitler. But in fucking Imperial Japan, the Meiji Restoration was in the 1860s, right? That group died out in the 1890s, and then they became more aggressive, right? They invaded China in 1895, took over Taiwan. Then they, attacked Russia, took over Korea in 1905. And then, that was the whole annexation period, like for 35 years for Korea, right? From 1910 to till the end of the fucking war. There were Korean slaves living in Japan working in their fucking war industry, right alongside all them. They were fucking their slaves. It was like they were like Koreans were their black people for like a generation, right? Just making their fucking war shit as slaves. So you're telling me the average Japanese citizen didn't know what the fuck was going on, for 50 years of their imperialism, that they're all of a sudden less guilty than the fucking citizens of Dresden, who were like not even fucking like, all for the Hitler, all for the H-man. And then polls in Japan were like 90% plus in support of the fucking, fucking Hirohito. This was like a mass fucking like when you talk about like the Chinese brainwashing North Korean, that was because they saw the Japanese. They thought, oh, the Japanese were able to brainwash these fucking retards. Like there was little retards, little retarded Japanese people who thought the war was going on until the 1970s. There was this fucking Japanese guy who was like in the one of the fucking Pacific Islands somewhere. He had no idea that the war ended, but he was like faithfully like guarding his post for 30, like almost 30 years after the war ended. And then he was discovered. It would be like if it like a Nazi, like, you know, fucking retarded Rudolf Hess, you know, that type of retard who just flies off to Scotland or whatever and tries to like negotiate with the British, right? Like that kind of retarded Nazi goes to, I don't know, like Iceland or something and is at some fucking Nazi post and it's like still guarding it, whatever, isn't discovered until 1970s. And then Germany welcomes him back as a hero with open arms, right? Imagine that, right? Like, oh, this Nazi was a Nazi for so long. He's come back home. Like, obviously, no one would think that would be the reaction. But that was the reaction in Japan. In Japan, they were like, oh, wow, this guy was a patriot through and through to the end. Wow, this guy is awesome. That's how fucking ridiculous these fucking Japs were. That's why they needed more fucking nukes, not less. Dumb fucks. Dumb fucking Western liberals. You guys don't even fucking know what you're talking about. God. And that's right. The Zainichi Koreans. They're still the fucking actual black people of Japan today. The Zainichi Koreans are fucking terrorized all the fucking time in Japan. You don't fucking hear about that, you stupid dumb fucking weebs. Not only that, they're still like fucking racist to their own people that aren't fully Japanese, right? The Ainu people, the fucking Ryukyuns, you know, Ryukyuns. I'm saying that wrong. They're the most fucking disgusting people on the planet. I'm sorry. At the time. But in terms of military, in terms of citizens being responsible for their country's military actions, they are right up there with Israel. They are right up where they're with fucking Zionists, with the IDF, with anybody in that fucking country in Israel. I'm not talking about Jewish people in general. I'm not saying that all Jewish people are Zionists, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about the people in fucking Israel that like willingly support that fucking place. You know, all those citizens, they're the fucking same as those Japs in 1945. So don't tell me that these are like, oh, these are citizens, like, oh, like, oh, well, America want to just threaten the Soviet Union, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I don't fucking understand that shit. But don't fucking tell me. And the second of all, you know what's more retarded? The nukes weren't even worse than the fire bombings. The Tokyo fire bombings were actually worse. Because the Tokyo, you know, most of the fucking buildings back then were made out of wood. So people just fucking burned to death in the Tokyo fire bombings. Like, probably painfully and extremely, like, terrifyingly, right? Like, if I were nuked, I'd be like, it's done in a fucking second. You know, if I'm fucking being burned to death, that's like infinitely worse. Are you fucking retarded? You're not even picking the worst fucking war crime. You're just picking up the most sensationalized one because you're like so like, I'm fucking Western fucking retard. God, I don't even know how I got into this topic, but anyway, China, I guess it's just like all this fucking, you know, obviously in the past few weeks, I talked about this last time, but all this fucking retarded shit about Chinese New Year, especially the one that, you know, Wang Weishan brought up, Kim Iverson, all these fucking retards about Alyssa Liu. And it's just like all this fucking retard. I'm like, fuck you. You fucking Western Marxists. You fucking Western liberals. You fucking Western Marxism is just Western Trotskyism. It's like you guys are all fucking pieces of shit Nazis. Anti-Asian Nazis. It's like just so fucking over that. But I don't know. Did I have anything else about China I want to talk about? Not really. Well, moving on. DPRK. I think it recently re-elected Kim Jong-un. People are making jokes about it, be like, oh, they have elections. It's just kind of like, it's so fucking hilarious how a lot of these fucking retards are all like, what, Israel controls everything, Israel, blah, 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 our deep state, our country is occupied. And then they're like, oh, wait, but in North Korea, I'm going to eat up all the goy slop they told me about North Korea and how it functions. Like the same people, they're like, oh, they're manipulating everything, blah, blah, in America. It's like, what? They didn't manipulate what you think about North Korea, the country that's been correct about Israel this fucking entire time. It's like, are you guys retards? Yes, you guys are fucking retarded. Anyway, there's all these bullshit fucking reports coming out too about North Korea, how it's gonna nuke Israel. First of all, no, it's fucking not. If it was to nuke any country, it would probably be Japan for vengeance. Because, for obvious fucking reasons. Why would they sacrifice themselves to fight for a people that isn't them, right? If they knew that because once they nuke Israel, they know that they'd be fucking nuked all over the place. They'd have to hide underground for like 100 years, from all the fucking fallout. They would basically be Fallout, all in the vaults, living in the vaults for irradiated Korea, right? It would be so like, why would they do that for another place? Like, if they were going to do that, they would probably do it Japan, right? Because it's like, fuck you. You fucked with us, and now you got to die. That's the only logical place it would actually sacrifice. And even then, it's just kind of like, no, I mean, like, we're over that shit, right? Japan's probably going to fucking self-implode itself. We don't need to do anything, right? So in a logical sense, it's all this fucking bullshit from all these, stupid goy slop, like, bait accounts, like, the BRICS News, or like all these Indians running these, like, multipolar geopolitical news accounts, all this bullshit, like Cathan 2030, that fucking retard I exposed earlier, all these fucking retards just saying, like, or pamphlets saying that, North Korea's gonna, pamphlets was fucking saying that shit. I always knew that they were pieces of shit Trotskyites. I think they're MI6, to be honest. And or spreading that shit about, I think like last week there was this shit about Kim Jong-un's daughter being next in line to rule the country. Like, first of all, that's so fucking retarded. Like, even if that was true, they would never put that out there. They would be like, the way they run things has been secretive for the longest fucking time. You think some retarded South Korean intelligence agency suddenly cracked the code when they run their own retarded nonsense all the time about the DPRK? No, you're just a fucking bunch of morons. It's all this fucking goy slop, about, and then there was this other one where North Korea executed 2 Mossad agents. And it's like, why would you think that Israel would even send Mossad agents to North Korea? Do you know, like, what would be the objective there? There's no fucking objective. Like, what would sending Mossad agents into North Korea get for Israel at all? And second of all, how would they even fucking not be detected? Like, this is a country that's not allowed CIA in its midst for 80 years. You're telling me two Mossad agents suddenly fucking showed up out of nowhere? It's like dumb fucking retarded nonsense goy slop stories. And I'm like, you guys are a bunch of retards. You know, all this to distract from what's actually happening in North Korea, where there's been a lot of economic development, in the past decade, especially more, more since in the 2020s. And it's pretty rapid advancement, pretty rapid development. It's very clear that since the Ukraine stuff, and really like probably even earlier that for China, once China kind of realized or recognized a showdown probably is going to be inevitable with these fucking Americans. So we got to kind of prepare again. Kind of like kicked North Korea to the curb a little bit during the 1990s with the nuclear proliferation treaty shit, bullshit, nonsense. Trying to be like, oh, well, North Korea's acting crazy, and like the United States saying that. And then China being like, all right, whatever, we're going to sanction them because we need to still get your trade. There probably still was a little under the table dealing with North Korea with China, but probably not that much because the industrialization definitely suffered as a result of those sanctions because they had no one to trade with. But I think we're seeing stuff out of Pyongyang that kind of indicates that more recently, especially since they assisted Russia with Ukraine, that they are getting a lot more industrial inputs, and probably from Russia, obviously, for not only their soldiers in the region, but also for military equipment that they're selling to Russia outright, as well as probably closer ties with China. Probably, I would estimate, if I had to put a guess, probably started around 2019 when the color revolutions were going on in Hong Kong, when China was like, all right, we need to hedge our bets a little bit here. Because, like, yeah, like they kicked them the curb, obviously in the 1990s with, and then, who was it, Jiang Zemin and Hu Jintao. Those guys kind of like kicked North Korea to the curb a little bit. But I think once Xi Jinping kind of came into office, I think around 2013, and then Kim Jong-un himself was 2011, I believe, when Kim Jong-il died. I think that was probably around the time when they start to reconsider their alignments. And then 2019, when all the fucking bullshit from the Hong Kong protests start to heat up again, they're like, all right. And especially now with the 2020 COVID bullshit, I think that's probably when they were like, all right, well, they're kind of, the DPRK is kind of the tip of our spear here. They're the ones kind of where the West is going to, if they're going to invade China, this is the buffer zone. So we kind of have to, get some siege tanks, get some bunkers over there, get some missile turrets, get them some. You know what I mean? You gotta siege up. You gotta siege up that choke point. You gotta get your photon cannons ready. And so I think, we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of, all right, because that was kind of the same thing that happened with South Korea. Because South Korea was very underdeveloped in the 1950s, 1960s. And so the way Park Chung-hee pushed it to the Americans was like, hey, you guys aren't doing so hot in Vietnam right now. And don't you want us to like be able to fight on our own so we don't need you guys? So America was like, you know what, that makes sense. We're going to give you a lot of protectionary measures, blah, 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 so your economy can improve, and then you can build your own weapons and build your own defenses. But you're still going to pay us $5 billion a year to occupy your own country. But anyway, You know, that's a good deal for us. You know, you pay us to occupy your country, so we're gonna give you money to get on that, right? So in the same way, China's probably like, we're gonna help you guys a little bit here. Obviously, that this might not have been formalized into any sort of like actual treaty because it probably still has those agreements about the nuclear proliferation shit still in place. But I think people are like, China's like, you know what? The more America tries to make this the China virus and COVID-19 and this fucking second attempt at a Tiananmen Square in fucking Hong Kong now, you know, maybe we need to fucking like rip out those agreements. Maybe we need to fucking wisen up and be like, you know what? It's time to give those boys those Juche boys some Juche juice, you know? So I think you know, people are finally waking up to the fact that, especially with the Israeli invasion, right? Especially with the planned invasion of Iran and, you know, seeing what happened in the Middle East in the past 30 years, people are like coming around to the idea that, you know what? Maybe North Korea was doing what it needed to do the entire time, and it's proven correct. You know, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I used to think North Korea was kind of wrong for getting nuclear weapons, and they should have, stuck to developing their economy. But now I see that they did it the right way. They did it in the right order, right? Because all those places that did try to not get nukes and develop their fucking economies, like Libya or Syria or all these other places, they were like, well, once we did build it, it doesn't fucking matter because the United States are just going to go in and fucking bomb that shit. So the order now seems to be like, get your fucking nukes, and then, because that was the whole fucking benefit, right? For the longest time, you know, there was kind of like this, for 40 years during the Cold War, there was a lot of like kind of aggression on both sides of the parallel. But obviously by the 1990s, it was very apparent that South Korea's economy was taking off, and North Korea was going to have to go through an arduous march, right? So during the 1980s, 1990s, as the Soviet Union fell and all this stuff, North Korea adopted a defensive position and was considering actually, like, you know, doing the agreements of not making nukes or whatever. But after, you know, the United States does what it does, like with all the treaties it did with the Native Americans, it violated all those treaties. And guess what it does with treaties with North Korea or anywhere else? It fucking violates its own fucking treaties. And so Koreans, like we said before, we don't win fall for it again awards, right? Especially the North Koreans. So once 2002 happened, the axis of evil, Iran, Iraq, and North Korea, Kim Jong-il was like, fuck y'all, we making nukes now. I think they got their first nuke in 2005, tested their first one in 2009, passed away two years later. And so now a lot of people give Kim Jong-un a lot of the credit for how it went. But really, it was Kim Jong-il who had to go through the hardest time, right? You know, Kim Il-sung dies in 1994. And so from 1994 to 2011, that's when Kim Jong-il was the leader of North Korea. And those were arguably like the worst part of North Korea's history, right? Because it was right after the Soviet Union fell. It was a monsoon. There was a huge fucking famine. A lot of people died. I'm not going to deny that. There was a lot of people who starved. Probably not to the extent that, you know, Western media and South Korean media tries to portray, but I'm sure a lot of people did die, unfortunately. But they got through it. And a lot of that was due to Kim Jong-il's leadership. So it's just kind of like, you know, a lot of the same way a lot of people give Deng credit for the economic reforms of China and all that stuff. But at the same time, even Deng would say, I was building off what Mao had already built, what Mao had already established. And the same, even Kim Jong Il would probably say, I was only building off what Kim Il Sung was doing, and so on and so forth, right? So I think there's needs to be a little bit more historical material analysis about that, and be like, put the praise where the praise is due. Then Kim Jong Il, especially, is the most overlooked kind of like leader of the socialist leaders. And a function of that was American propaganda, especially all that fucking stuff like Team America, World Police propaganda, and all this shit. Whereas Kim Jong Un is somewhat enjoying the technology, first of all, right? So it's easier for people to see what it's actually like in North Korea right now. Like, it's easier to get like video shots of all these places and stuff like that out to the general world, so people now know what North Korea actually looks like. And he's enjoying the kind of reversal of Western attitudes, because now they see the hypocrisy because of the Epstein files and of the Israeli fucking genocide of the Gazans, right? So he's enjoying kind of like a reversal of the image of North Korea. And so he's kind of getting a boost in his own contributions in that area. Not to say he hasn't done a good job, because he has done a good job, obviously. But, I think even he would admit, like, yeah, that's why we have 2 big statues of them right in front of our fucking building, right? Because they are the supreme leader and the eternal leader. They're still called that, right? What's up, Ivanovich? What's up? Let's see the Sun Yat-sen was based, yeah, Sun Moon, even South Koreans respect Sun Yat-sen. Actually, I didn't know that until recently. Japs had it coming. If you're ever on Chinese social media, you'll see the phrase shiitake mushrooms. It's ironic. The people want a paid blood debt. That's a thing most people don't understand, especially Western liberals. There's not a single Asian person outside of Japan who cries about the nukes at all. There is no one. There are 0 people. The only reason the nukes were bad to any people in Asia is because there were a lot of Korean slaves incinerated as well. But outside of that, ain't no one said it. They're like worse than the fucking Nazis. They were like worse than the average German person in Nazi Germany. Like I said before, it was like only 38% who voted for the Nazis, right? This was like a 90+% approval rating from Japanese citizens of Imperial Japan. They knew what was going on. It wasn't like they were like, oh, what? They were experimenting on human beings? What? They were having beheading contests? They were taking pictures of that shit. The fucking Japs were taking pictures of themselves having fucking, contests of slicing people's heads off. What are you fucking talking about? These were the most complicit citizens in fucking history. I feel like even even if you went to the Mongol Empire, there might have been dissenters from the Mongols be like, hey, maybe that's not such a great idea. I feel like there might have been that. More people in the Mongol Empire who was kind of like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that shit. Japs were all invested. They all was like, yeah, let's do that shit. Okay? Even fucking your hero Miyazaki. You know what inspired him? Fucking anime propaganda from the 1940s. That's what inspired Miyazaki. You guys don't understand how Jap they all are. Anyway, it's the government trying to keep it diplomatic. Yeah, I know that. Zainichi Jopari Sekider. Is that what they're called? There's a good movie about that called Pajigi? Pajigi? I don't know what that is. They're the Luchu people. Maybe I'll watch that. Maybe send me the Pajigi. Maybe I'll Pajigi. I'll try to watch that movie. Do they have subtitles? Ryukyu people arguably hate the Japs more than us, and rightfully so. Zainichi Koreans versus Japanese gang war. Luchu, yes. Great movie. I cry every time. Wait, which movie is this? This is Pachigi? I don't understand how the Japs today think China is a threat when China was one of their victims. I think they think they're a threat because they're like, oh shit. We know what they do. We done, Now they can do something about it. We tried to take the tack of not apologizing for the longest time. Now we're kind of like not such a good place now. It's funny if you've seen the loyal citizens of Pyongyang, North Korean vector called Japanese Ilbonnom, like it's a casual term. Yeah, I think I've seen that one. Jap glazers are basically closeted Nazis. I mean, yeah. The closeted Nazis or the closeted Trotskyites. They're all fucking the same. I'd elect Kim Jong-un too. If I were North Korean, see Libya. Metro 2033 IRL? What's Metro 2033? Lol, Indian drones. It's some funny shit. Lol, that pamphlets dude made a post saying China banned OnlyFans, and I literally just asked, could you post a link next time? And his brain dead followers were telling me to go look it up myself. Well, I mean, it's not that China bans specifically OnlyFans. It's more that China bans a lot of... China pretty much bans all American social or Western social media. And a lot of Western sites in general. So it's already... It didn't ban... I feel like it probably didn't ban OnlyFans specifically. It probably just had a ban pornography already or ban social media already in place. So it didn't probably didn't make a specific legal ban specifically attached to OnlyFans. Build up your spore sunken colonies, exactly. Gotta give the North Koreans some minerals and Vespine gas so they can build up those sunken colonies. What's the one that shot things into the air? Was that a spore colony? Exactly. Nukes equals sovereignty. Park Yeon-mi's dad was a human trafficker in those times. Jesus. I mean, I can see that. Ivan says, "What's up again? Sup? My arm hurts. Why does your arm hurt?" That's what I mean. I was like, dude was leaving out a lot of context. It's because he's fucking MI6. He's like a fucking Trotskyite scum. They're all fucking scum. All these fucking like Anglo fucking scum fucks. All these fucking Western leftists are all fucking scum. That fucking either lie about shit. Because you know what they're doing? You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to like force North Korea or China or whatever, whoever it is to clean up their mess for them. But not really, right? Because who's their actual audience? Their actual audience is other Westerners, right? So they're not actually trying to influence North Korea or Chinese policy. What they're doing is saying that, oh, they should have done this. And see, this is why Asians, you can't trust them. They don't do what's right. Right? And who does that affect? That affects us. So these fucking Nazis are being fucking Nazis because they want to manufacture anti-Asian hate against us when it's actual time to fucking, go to fucking war and be like, oh, these are actual, you can't trust these guys. They only look out for themselves and blah, blah, blah. This is what they're fucking doing. This is what these fucking pieces of shits are doing. God. Now that I say that, I'm never fucking... I feel like at the beginning of the stream, I was like, that scene in Wolf of Wall Street where he's kind of like, sorry guys, the government got me, I gotta leave. It's over, guys. We had all these good memories, and It was good while it lasted, right, guys? You know, I feel like that was like that at the beginning of the stream. Now I'm like, you know what? I'm not fucking leaving. Fuck these fucking MI6 Trotskyites. Someone's got to be there to fucking kill them and take them down. I'm not fucking leaving. It's funny because I feel like that's exactly what happened to. Remember when I said I got really depressed and canceled my first podcast in 2021, and then a few months later, I moved to LA, and then I was still kind of depressed, and then lo and behold, this article comes out by fucking Eileen Huang. Like, Eileen Huang is quoted or whatever. Boba Kami, for anyone who knows that fucking retard bitch back in the day, talking about how MR Asians were the actual threat or something, or the actual white supremacy, all this fucking nonsense. And then I was like, oh no, you fucking don't. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. For 7 days. This is me. This is fucking me. 7 days going on Wikipedia, getting like all these fucking things, like getting all these fucking sources. This is pre-fucking AI too. So I was like fucking researching. I was looking at, like JSTOR fucking articles. I was fucking like being like, boom, 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 boom. Fuck you, bitch. Fuck you, bitch. I guess that's what defines me, just like concentrated fury. If I don't have this concentrated fury, it's hard for me to fucking be motivated to do shit. I just feel like, I somewhat, I've been reading a little bit more about Nietzsche. I've been reading I have like 4, 5. I already read Walter Kaufman's like fucking revisionist bullshit about how he wasn't actually a Nazi and it was his sister and all this fucking nonsense. That CIA garbage, I read that. But I also have like Heidegger's fucking biography on him. I have this like Oxford published biography and like this textbook on him that I'm reading through right now. There's Domenico Lacerdo wrote this whole fucking 1,000-page biography about like how he's like a Nazi basically, or he's like the originator of fascism, fascist ideology. And then I have like George Lukács' Destruction of Reason, where Nietzsche is it's not a full biography of him, but it's like all these different things about irrationalism and, obviously fascism as well. And, yeah. And then I have something called Zarathustra's Secret, which apparently was published in 2002, which makes the case that Nietzsche was actually a homosexual. That was his secret. I haven't read that yet, but apparently that's what it's about. So I'm trying to like deconstruct everything about fascism. But anyway, but what I was reading about him, I remembered he came across something like, sometimes the best of friends are also the best of enemies, right? Because they challenge you, right? Like it's very like anime like thing, right? Like especially with, it's like it's a very anime sort of idea, obviously anime is very heavily influenced by Nietzsche and Schopenhauer and that kind of German philosophy stuff. But it's this very like, especially with, these archetypes in anime, whether it's in Death Note, whether it's Kira and L, they sort of like, because they're friends or they're enemies, they bring out the best of each other. And they're so similar. L calls him like, I'd be sad if you were Kira because you're, they're the best friend I've ever had or something like that. It's this kind of like duality idea of like the best friend that you could ever have is your best enemy. Not to say that Eileen Huang or whatever blah 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 as like ever going to be a friend of mine. But it's more like they provided this, you know, fire in me. I was like, all right, well, I got to crush this thing. And I guess she wouldn't even qualify because she was not a good enemy because I was easily able to vanquish her and destroy her. With 7 days of this, 7 days of that, boom, crush all the fucking Bobo liberals, all the WMAF mine, and now I got to crush the Hoppas. Now I got to crush the right-wing Hoppas too. So that's why I got to go back and put on the cape and cowl. Let's see. I think average Japanese don't actually know what they've done to Asia. They're in such deep denial. They think any bad blood from other Asians was created from thin air from Chinese propaganda. Yeah, well, that's why they need another nuke. Metro 2033 is a Russian comic where Russia gets nuked and the survivors live in the old Soviet subway tunnels. Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like Fallout, right? I guess. I don't know. I watched the second season of Fallout. I have to admit it was not that good. Felt like it fell off a lot. I don't know if I would watch it any further. I thought the first season was okay, pretty decent. That's why I gave the second season a shot. But then, I don't know. I felt like the second season was just like running through the motions, and they didn't really care about the deeper conspiracy anymore. I don't know. Maybe it was just not a good show to begin with. Is general East Asian trope, Three Kingdoms is the OG of all this. Typical now they want the other East Asian countries to clean up their shit. Exactly. That's what I'm fucking saying. Wait, when is this movie you guys are talking about, though? Pachigi. Is it called Breakthrough? We Shall Overcome Someday? I think this is it, right? Kyoto, 1968. Several high school students deal with their life as Korean Japanese, trying to earn each other's love and respect. Oh, it's actually a Japanese film. Interesting. Well, maybe let's watch that next time on stream together. I don't know. Just kidding. I just saw your comment on Discord, Wang Onishin. I don't know. I'm too much of an unk. I just like don't want to go back to my streams and like clip shit. I know that I should, and I know that it's better for visibility, but yeah, if you guys, if you Gen Z kids want to do that for me, I know I hate on you Gen Z kids all the time, but you know where I'm coming from, right? But if, you want to use your ADHD skills to good use, you're free to clip me as much as you want, obviously. But yeah. Dumb fucks. Wait, do you guys find that funnier than when I just call them retards? Or I have a lot of words. I just make up a lot of fucking shit. You know where it comes from, though? Like, I wasn't naturally this aggressive, growing up. A lot of my, verbal aggression comes from my sister. It was like, I just kind of, imitated her. And, I don't know if I don't know if she called people dumb fucks. But it's just so good, It's like it's fucking dumb fuck. Like, using fuck as a noun with the dumb, God, you're such a fucking dumb fuck. It's like this emphasis on the noun aspect of your dumbness, right? It's like, I think it's like it works because the emphasis on fuck is always a good thing, right? Or it's always a strong accent, but it internalizes the dumbness as inherent to your essence. Like, that you dumb fuck. Like, the dumb is kind of synthetically added onto that fuck. and it's embedded in your internal essence as a being of dumbness. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I don't know. Dumb fuck. Fuck. Fucking dumb fuck. Dumb fuck, you're retard. Yeah, I guess like retard is like, or retard. God, retard. Retard. I feel like it's okay. Retard is more of just kind of like a funny, like, you know, sometimes they're like, oh, you're a retard. You know, like, before I would say something like, fucking retardando. You know, like using like musical. I would use other things, you know, like I would call people MR. I don't know if I ever explained that, like where that comes from, but be mentally retarded. You know, before it was okay again to say retard out loud. It's still kind of not really okay, but I do it anyway because I don't give a fuck. But like before, you know, obviously before the woke era, even before the woke era, it was not kosher to use the R slur. I think that kind of happened maybe like when I was in college. Maybe no. I think it started probably like in the Obama era, right? In 2008, started being like uncool to call people retarded. And I was like, oh god, you're fucking retarded. But, you know, obviously I wouldn't say it out loud anymore. And so I'd be like, you know, using MR, right? Are you MR? I'd turn it into like an acronym, RUMR, rumor. Are you MR? So, yeah, I used a lot of different phrases to call people stupid. But I think, like, I don't know. You know what was craziest, though, about the fucking woke era? Like, I kid you not, in 2020, 2021, there are people saying you can't call people idiot anymore or something, because that's basically calling them retarded or whatever, you know, like slippery slope, all this bullshit. I was like, fuck you, you fucking idiot. I would use before the Musk era, where retard was, because that's the other reason. If you used retard before the Musk era, you would get like fucking banned, right? Not banned, but suspended or whatever, or you'd get your account locked, all this shit. So you couldn't really say retard on Twitter since before 2023, I think, or 2022 was when Musk took over. So that's why I didn't really even use it back then. But once Musk took over and he said everything was fair game, I just like used it all the fucking time. But before that, that's why I didn't really use it, because you just get suspended, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I bought into a little bit of that woke shit myself, and I was like, well, maybe we shouldn't use it after all. Maybe I shouldn't say the N-word. Now I'm like, I don't fucking give a shit. People are dying in Gaza. You're fucking retard. Fucking retard. God. But man. So before 2022, I would use imbecile a lot. Imbecile was good because like it carried like this, like, you're such an imbecile, you know. Idiot and stupid were a little bit too commonplace, but imbecile gave it a little bit extra, like, oh, you have to be kind of like a little bit intelligent to even know what imbecile means. So I'm already calling you this, assuming that you don't even know what this fucking means. And so there's that extra meta aspect onto the fucking imbecile. I don't know what I'm saying. I feel like I'm being retarded right now, so I'm gonna, unless anyone has any other questions, gonna end my retardation. Only retards get triggered by the word retard. Exactly. Right? If you're above the actual retard designation of 70 IQ, then you are actually not retarded. So then if you're offended by being called retarded, that means you must now consider yourself under the 70 IQ level. So then you hence sublate yourself into retardation. And then hence you become a retard. If you are offended, you become a retard. Let's see. Typical now they want second field season felt rushed. Yeah, exactly. As a recovering retard, I embrace that word. And it's just kind of like, you know, as someone who was autistic and was definitely bullied for it, I didn't even know what it was that I was being bullied for, but I was definitely knew that I was being bullied, right? I definitely knew I was different. I didn't know what autism was for the longest time. You know, obviously during high school, I had no idea what the fuck that was. During college even, you know, during my young adulthood. Didn't know what the fuck autism was, but I knew people saw me differently. I knew I had a little bit of wherewithal to be like, oh, people don't like it when I do where I say certain things or act certain ways, you know. I noticed people talking behind my back, being like, oh, he's, I don't know if they said the word retard, right? But, you know, I knew that they consider me socially retarded, and it probably was. But, you know, now I'm reclaiming it. Now I might be socially retarded, but you are mentally retarded. You are intellectually retarded compared to me. So, shoes on the other foot, nigga. That's what I'm talking about. I'm reclaiming our slur for our people, for our neurodivergent people. What was it? Reappropriation of the slur of the fucking retard. Fucking dumb fucks. Let's see. Maybe you can use AI to farm a mass of your clips and pick decent ones to reshare. I mean, I do have Opus AI on an account, and I actually didn't use it. And I let all those fucking credits expire, unfortunately, and I probably now haven't. So maybe I'll do that. I guess I was just figured I was saving them for my actual big videos that I never. But yeah, you're right, Starside. I should just probably just use that to pick the decent ones to reshare the funny ones. Oh man, he's not wrong. As a recovering retard, I embrace that word. The streams at 5 a.m. were interesting. Streams at 5 a.m. What streams at 5 a.m.? But yeah, you're right. I need to just get off my ass and do a little bit more work and do my own fucking clipping and blah, 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 blah. You know, I was doing that actually with KTSC, right? I guess because that was a little bit more structured, I felt like it was easier to clip a structured sort of like show. Because KTSC, we had, you know, topics that were, you know, chosen by the people or interviewees and all this other stuff. So it was easier to like present as like, oh, this is a clip thing. But I guess like since this is more like a little bit more free flowing, maybe I thought it wasn't gonna be as clippable because it was like, well, this is gonna be just like a stream of consciousness shit. Are people gonna even like enjoy watching that stuff? But maybe not. Maybe AI can be like, oh, this shit's funny. Let's talk about that. Let's do that one. This seems high energy. It seems in the flow. This seems like topical, related, blah, blah, blah. Let's get some fucking dumb fuckery clipping going on. I like this, Doug. The KTSC Doug seemed like he was holding back. Yeah, the KTSC Doug. All right. Since you're new here, how did you only come across this now? I mean, like, it's been almost like 8 months now since I've been off KTSC. Like, you waited until now to visit my channel. Did you see, by the way, that he was all like, we're going to come out with this expose on Doug Kim? You know, this was like 2 months ago now, or almost 2-3 months. I'm like, oh, what's going on about that? Wait, so where did you hear about the KTSC drama? Did you hear about, did you see my former episodes? Or you already saw me talking about it then, right? Or no? Coffee yourself up. Well, if I coffee up myself, I might have to take shits. Be like, all right, I gotta go. But yeah, obviously, like on KTSC, I'm not the only person there, and I gotta be structured, right? I gotta be talking about the topic on hand. I can't be doing my own shit all the time. But even then, I was pretty fucking like emphatic about if somebody was fucking wrong and being a dumb fuck. Like there were times I'd call something. They had to like ban the word retard because of me. I think I was calling my co-hosts retarded too much. Oh man, I'm a loose cannon. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a loose cannon. Maybe that's why I only have 10 followers. Nobody wants to be called a dumb fuck. I'm sorry. Everyone's just it's just slow. Everyone's slow. Why is everyone slow? I don't want. See, that's the. You know what the ironic part is? This is what this is actually a point that Ivan once told me. It's funny because to the average person, to the average listener, not the average listener, you guys see the average listener, but the average person on the outside, if they were to come across my stream and they were to see this guy calling everything retarded and you are retarded, even my followers retarded or whatever, just like I call myself retarded all the time too, for being retarded. It's not a one-way street. I think everything and everyone, and including myself, is retarded. I'm an equal opportunity dumb fuck retardation. If something is retarded, if I'm being retarded, I will gladly admit the retardation and admit the retardedness of what I said or whatever. It doesn't happen often, mind you. Maybe that's why, because the frequency of which I call myself retarded is very, very, very slim. And there's probably bias with that, obviously. Being my own subjective self, obviously, I know that there's bias of my own measure of, my retardation, and my propensity to see, because of negation of the skeptical consciousness, that everything else seems more retarded to me than myself being retarded to myself. So I understand that bias, obviously. But in most cases, I feel like I'm pretty fair, more fair than the average skeptical consciousness about calling myself retarded from time to time. That's why I'm an unhappy consciousness, right? Let's see. But I think so the outside viewer probably thinks I'm this crazy, aggressive narcissist. And I get that, I get people probably like seeing me like that. It just comes with the territory, right? Especially if you're assertive and you have very different opinions than a lot of people, which I do. And you are obviously not a white person where you're allowed to be arrogant or whatever. You're an Asian person where you're supposed to be submissive and like going with the flow and not rocking the boat. So I understand how this might present itself as being super aggressive and super narcissistic and super self-aggrandizing and megalomaniac and blah, 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 all that. But it's interesting because this was a thing that that Ivan was kind of talking to me about. Like even before I started all this shit, I was, even in Hollywood, I probably like rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because of the way I am, right? It wasn't like I just all of a sudden became political and had this personality, right? I had this personality for a long time. But I think what he said was like, Ivan was like, actually, like you have actually respect for the people you actually talk to and call retarded, because like you say they're retarded as if they aren't retarded. It's like, it's kind of like when I say, are you retarded? It's more of like a question of like, there's a differential between normal aptitude and retarded aptitude. Are you closer to this retarded aptitude, or are you closer to this normal aptitude? I'm kind of saying you should be at this normal aptitude, but right now you're presenting as if you're kind of closer to this retarded aptitude. So maybe you should up your game a little bit and get back to normal aptitude, you know? Because he was saying, I'm kind of outing Ivan here. It's like, if I think they're retarded, I won't even try. Or like, I won't even like, or if I think, you know, I don't even have the patience. I would just like nod my head and be like, oh, okay. You know, I don't even try to change their opinion. I don't even try to do anything. I just like let them be retarded and, you know, I move on. I don't care. But you actually care because you're trying to change them. You're trying to make them not retarded anymore. You're trying to lift them up to a not retarded level so that you can finally converse with people at a normal level of aptitude, you know? And so I feel like that's the source of why I call everything retarded, because I'm so frustrated at the slowness, at the, you know, and it comes from like, you know, before I realized, you know, my autism, all the stuff, whatever, that I had innate sort of more rational, logical ability because of that. I didn't know that about myself, obviously, until fairly recently, 10 years ago, in a concrete level. I feel like I kind of knew. I knew I was intelligent, right? Obviously, for a long time. But I always assumed it's because everyone else was fucking lazy. And because they were lazy, they were stupid. But I put in the hard work, you know, of like studying and blah, 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 or reading and all this other stuff. So I assumed the differential in intelligence was due to their lack of effort. So for the longest time, that's why I would call people stupid or retarded, whatever. It's more like I'm calling them lazy. I'm like, can't you fucking read a book for once and stop fucking, you know, consuming all this goy slop on the fucking internet? God, do I have to like spoon feed you all this fucking thing from like, I gotta fucking write these 7,000 word substacks that nobody fucking reads anyway? Why don't you get it already? Just fucking stop being lazy. But then I realized, oh, people are just not that into it because they don't have autism. Like, there is such a thing as autistic obsession with things. That, like, the reason autistic people are so talented in some ways, because they have this focus where the thing they're focused on is the only thing that matters. And then they, like, get obsessive with it and they analyze every single fucking thing. Like this, right? Like, these motherfuckers, like, I'm reading Nietzsche's fucking thing, his biography, and I was like, yeah, like, it goes into his childhood and how he does things and whatever. That motherfucker was autistic, too. All these fucking Germans, they were autistic, right? You know, you have to have that level of fucking autism to just be into this shit that much. So, you know, I'm trying to be more patient, I guess, in general, but I can't lie. Big part of me is just like, feels great calling everything retarded, because I'm like so frustrated, right? I'm just like, God, it's just so much retardation, so much goy slop on the internet. I'm just kind of like, ugh, God, is it fucking even worth trying to tear through the noise of this fucking goy slop, this retarded, dumb fuck goy slop that goes on all the time. My fucking timeline with fucking retarded Kim Iverson saying this retarded dumb fuck shit, or fucking, I don't know, pamphlets saying this dumb fuck shit, or fucking, you know, whoever the fuck it is, you know, all my fucking ops saying this dumb fuck shit, just like straight up lying too, you know, caught this fucking Nazi lying again, you know, and everyone glazes them still. And it's just like this frustration of like, yeah, you guys are all retarded because you still glaze these retards who are lying to your fucking face with goy slop. It's just like, that's the source of my frustration. That's why I get frustrated with everything. Come full circle. Anyway. Let's see. As a recovering retard, I embrace that word. Oh, wait, I already read that. Cough yourself up. It's all right. You're tame compared to how Fuentes talks with super chatters. Well, I don't get paid like Fuentes does. I don't get... Though, I mean, I wouldn't want to get paid doing what he does, to be honest, because he's goy slop. Ed was pretty intolerable. Hodgins seemed like she was high. Young kept hitting on the female guests. Wait, really? You were actually reasonable one, lol. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was there to do the fucking job, right? What were we even doing? We were supposed to be a place where Korean Americans could talk about their actual views on politics in general, on American politics, on geopolitics, on Korean politics. What is the Korean American point of view in all this? And everyone was just like fucking being retarded. And like just, you know, trying to like, I don't even know. I don't even know. No, while you're playing me, please don't let it show. I don't wanna know if you're playing me, please don't let it. All right. I'm getting too crazy right now. Confession. I'm also recovering too. We are all retarded. You know, that's what you realize when you're actually a Hegelian. You realize, man, we are all just retarded. All knowledge is social, guys, right? At the end of the day, no one's a fucking genius because you had to build upon the knowledge base of humanity in order to get the insights that you had, right? At times, it seemed like you were my inner voice. I get that comment a lot, actually, Chevy. You know, even during the just the anti-Asian hate era, which was like 2020 to 2022-ish, like there would be a lot of comments being like, oh, thanks for saying what needs to be said. But no one would join in, right? It would be like, all right, well, good. Well, now fucking join in. And it'd be like, no, I'm going to be safe land. I'm going to be safe, uncanceled land. You can do all the battle yourself. I'm like the fucking Don Quixote, you know, slicing all these fucking windmills. Getting only thanks in the DMs. I guess Wi-Fi is going to thank me in the DMs too. It's not going to... Yeah, just kidding. That's true. When you say the world is retarded, you say so because you regret that fact. Exactly. It's like, I would like for the world not to be retarded. I would like for the world spirit to have realized itself and for global communism to have taken hold so I don't have to do this shit anymore, you know? like I do that. I inverted that fucking whole thing, the Agent Smith, like, once Zionism is destroyed, I don't need to be here anymore. Do you understand? Like, I'd rather be fucking making fucking bullshit films or like bullshit emo music or whatever. I don't even fucking know. I don't even fucking know what I would do if global communists came anymore. I feel like maybe that would be bad for me because now I'd have no purpose in life. Oh man, I don't even fucking know. Hey, I read the Substack. Stop yelling at me. Thanks, Holy Cow. There is another one coming up this week, so you better read that one too. It's called let's see what it called it. Let's see, what is the title? The Etymology of Jeedism. The Inversions of Slurs in the Age of Anti-Imperialism. You're going to want to read that one. I'm an autistic Muslim. You know what, though? At the end of the day, the most interesting people are autistic, right? All those fucking actors or whatever you see on screen acting like, do you want to see a normie in your fucking film? No. Normie acts all fucking NPC-like. Normies are NPCs. Do you guys not know that? Like, the best actors are the ones who are like seeing the extremes of life, who have contemplated life to be like, oh, this is why shit is retarded, you know? That's why all these comedians, they're so depressed, because they see the fucking retardation of everything, and so they're able to pick out the absurdities of reality and concretize them into theater. But then when they go back, they're like, I'm just the court jester. Fucking life sucks. All this comedy, and for what? Nothing changed. And then Robin Williams just kills himself, right? Jim Carrey goes crazy. You know, my comedic heroes, they just all go insane at the end of the day. Except for, you know, it's a late one, but Dave Chappelle seems to be kind of trying to use his platform to turn things around. So I appreciate that about him. Exactly. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Did you see Carl Zaw on Radio Korea? Oh, no. Why? What was that about? What was that like, Andrew? Or Chevy? It was a funny shit show. You know what? I'm going to have to watch that myself. We're going to talk about that on the next stream. Oh, man. Actually, should we... I know. I'm reneging on my no KTSC policy. But I feel like from time to time it can give some entertainment. I feel like I don't want to make this all like serious, world is ending. Sometimes you got to have a little bit of fun too. You know, you got to have a little bit of fun. Got to have a little fun in this thing. It's a damn shame you're not able to do your own voice narration, your Substack writings, I think. Makes the listening more worth it. I mean, I can. I just was a little lazy. I was like, and people were like, oh, you don't need to do that. Those Substack people will read it. So, but if you're saying that it'd be better, I don't know. Should I experiment with that? Maybe I should stop being lazy and just do it. But one thing at a time. I just got to figure out how to make a routine and not feel like fucking drowning in nonsense. And, yeah. Coffee up and voice narrate. All right. I guess you guys are telling me I gotta work, bitch. You want that Maserati? Better work, bitch. I complain too much. I'm a lazy ADD fuck. Well, fucking ADD fuck. ADD dumb fuck. All right. I am out of here. Wow, it has almost been 2.5 hours now. So if you don't work, you don't eat. Well, Alrighty. Okay. I am out then. Unless anyone has anything less pressing. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks. Later.